Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Ontario Aquaculture Research Centre. I'm your host, Kaylee Moore, one of the agricultural assistants here at OARC. If you're looking to learn more about aquaculture, you're in the right place. On today's episode, we have Stan Kapeshesit joining us from Cree First Nations to talk about their custom aquaponics system. Hi guys, and welcome back to our channel. I'm so excited to introduce Stan Kapeshesit. Today we will be discussing Stan's role at the Cree First Nations Aquaponics facility. So Stan, you're Director of the Economic Development for the Cree First Nation. Can you kind of start us off by telling us a little bit about yourself and how you've really been the driving force behind developing this custom aquaponics facility within the community?
Sure. Certainly glad to be here. I'm glad to be a part of this interview today. I'm born and raised in Moose Factory area. Grew up here all my life, with the exception of going to school down south in, North Bay, Ontario. So I went down there and did my education there and came back home and started my career, raised my family, and been living here ever since. So certainly glad to be a part of Moose Cree's economic development team, which I joined about 6 years ago now. And I've been employed as Director of Economic Development. And in my capacity, I've been tasked to lead some projects that were kind of earmarked towards growing the community and helping the community identify areas of opportunity. And one of the opportunities that presented itself was aquaponics. So that's what we kind of initiated 5 years ago. And it's been quite the journey since. Learned a lot and certainly looking forward to making our facility a reality.
No, it's super exciting. I mean, this is our first aquaponics interview, so thank you for doing this. I mean, our facility here, we really stick with aquaculture and helping the aquaculture farming industry for food production. But aquaponics is this really cool new spin on aquaculture that allows anybody really that wants something in their garage or something bigger scale to really take advantage of this very unique system. And I know if you live in Ontario's far north or even visited, I've lived in Timmins. I know that's not even as far as Moose Factory, but you know how expensive food can be. And even just your day-to-day livelihood, Cree First Nations is taking a proactive approach to making food more affordable. The custom build was designed specifically for your community to address food security challenges, as well as many other beneficial attributes. Can you kind of go into more detail on this for me?
Sure, certainly. Well, we first started the initiative about 5 years ago. We started working with the Canadian Aquaculture Systems company, and they helped us develop our feasibility assessment just to gauge the level of different opportunities out there with respect to aquaculture. And at the time, I attended a presentation that was offered through Wabatech Development Corporation, and met a few gentlemen down there, and it's where the interest first kind of piqued my mind, and I brought the idea back to our community and the processes that involve gaining support and gathering support from our local economic development committee, and then ultimately our chief and council. So we presented the idea back then, and it's been, kind of 5 years in the making. So from that, we did the feasibility assessment. Then we worked towards a business plan once we had the idea kind of centered. And the facility itself is 6,000 square feet. So it's kind of divided into, there's an aquaponics or aquaculture side, and then there's a hydroponics side. So the system is designed to have nutrients from the aquaculture, which is the fish, and the fish, byproducts provide nutrients to the waterway into the aquaponics. I mean, the hydroponics system. So that's how it kind of morphed into an aquaponics system design. And the design is essentially built to help sustain our communities of Moose Factory and Moosonee. So in the end, we're looking at producing 12,000 kilograms of fish per year. And the fish we've identified and selected is rainbow trout. So that's the species that we're going to be growing. And for the vegetable side, we're looking at 65,000 leafy greens. So that could be different lettuces, kale, and that kind of thing. And then 1,200 kilograms of vine crops per month. So we kind of scaled it to where each house would get, 1 to 2 fish per month. And some might take more and some might not take any. So we kind of, based our numbers around that and then kind of priced it out from there. So in the first, I think, 12 to 16 months after production is fulfilled, that's when it becomes self-sustaining. So we will sell the products to the community at a nominal price, not to make a profit or anything, or build a big business out of it, but more to provide healthy food and healthy items to the community that's grown closer to home. Obviously, it'd be grown right here in our community. So that's the intent, and that's what we're aiming for. So once we get to that point, we hope that this model can be shared to other remote First Nation communities, because the majority of First Nation communities in the far north are, remote and fly-in only and that kind of thing. So obviously the cost of food and cost of living gets higher and higher the further north you go. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to help with that, situation.
Yeah, and that's amazing. And I know, like, in the scale of things, you're saying like 1 to 2 fish per household a month. That does make a huge difference. I mean, the access to seafood is kind of limited across Canada or even Ontario, because not a lot of people know where to access good quality fish. So the fact that you're able to not only supply a decent amount of fish for your entire town and Moose Factory and Moosonee, but like also good quality, and it's locally grown, and that's a big benefit. I was going to talk about kind of like what crops you're currently growing, and then what fish species you are using in your system. But maybe can you kind of tell me what made you decide on the rainbow trout?
Well, the rainbow trout is the species that can grow quickly in kind of aquaculture system. It'll take 9 to 10 months to grow to about a kilogram size, which is a pan size fry kind of size. And we thought that the quicker we can grow the fish to that size, then we can start circulating the fish each quarter, basically. So we're thinking that because that's the quickest growing fish, that we would choose that. Obviously, we can grow any kind of fish, but it all depends on temperature and that kind of stuff. There's a science behind growing fish, and becoming more familiar with the processes. And certainly we can look at other species once we start growing and getting more information as we go along. In terms of the produce side, I did mention a few items like the leafy greens, obviously heads of lettuce, kale, bok choy, herbs and spices and that kind of thing. And then for the crop vines is the tomatoes and strawberries and things of that nature that can grow from the vines. And then we'll see how it goes from there, because once we start introducing these various products, we want to see where the customers would be willing to spend their money, basically, because it goes down to that, like what the customer wants, and we can kind of cater to what what people would like to see. So obviously we want to do more fresh fruits and vegetables here, and the fish. So hopefully that answers part of your question.
No, it does. Perfect. Thank you. Rainbow trout is, I mean, we have brewed rainbow trout here at our station, and they're beautiful fish, and obviously they taste pretty good as well.
Mhm.
You mentioned when the idea started was about 5 years ago, but did you have more information about kind of when the idea started?
Well, like I mentioned, I attended a workshop session that was hosted, and they were just basically introducing aquaculture to various First Nation communities and regions. There's a strong aquaculture presence near Manitoulin Island, and so we were able to visit a few of those places as well. We did site visits as a part of our learning process, and we even traveled a few aquaculture centers down in southern Ontario, and we were able to take a group here from Musashi just so that they can see firsthand what it is and what it really entails. And we did come to Waterloo, and we were able to see a sturgeon fishery kind of farm area, which was very interesting for sure. And it kind of intrigued our committee that did attend to include aquaponics and aquaponics, not aquaponics, sturgeon into the mix.
Okay.
So sturgeon was brought up, and then they had suggested that we should kind of grow sturgeon and release the species back into the waterways here, because it is on the decline, but hopefully we can reintroduce the population through that process too. So there is a plan to grow 20,000 sturgeon per year and release those fingerlings into the water.
Wow, that's super exciting. We have some sturgeon here at our facility for research projects, and they're amazing fish. They're one of my favorite. I didn't personally, but I used to work for a company, the MNRF, that went up to the Moose River and at the Watascat and did some work with the sturgeon there and working with the community as well, and looking at populations and stuff like that. And I think, yeah, like sturgeons are definitely on the decline, and I think that is so exciting for you guys to be able to have that type of impact in releasing some sturgeon back into the rivers. And I think as time will tell, it'll be interesting to see what the results will be from doing that. Another question, the last question I have for you today is have you been able to kind of share what you've so far have learned through this planning and processing journey with other communities? And do you kind of feel that your facility will be able to be easily replicated in other communities?
Yeah, certainly we've learned a lot in the process, and we've been invited to speak at various conferences. I've spoke to an Indigenous conference out in Eastern Canada about a year ago, and that was quite the experience too, because sharing our story obviously is a little bit different from aquaculture systems in Eastern Canada compared to here. And from our knowledge, this is going to be one of the first in Canada to be kind of an indoor growing aquaculture facility, incorporating aquaponics as well. So there's a lot of interest that communities have, and we've been always willing to share that information to First Nation communities and remote communities that are looking at food sovereignty and food security, especially during these times, during the pandemic we've been all facing. So people are obviously more aware and more concerned about where their food is coming from and how it's grown and how it ends up from the farm to their table. So it's certainly opening up a discussion on that element, and certainly providing a lot of insight to those types of projects. So we're really excited to do that and to incorporate all that into our findings, and certainly want to prepare to share our information and share our findings to others that are interested in this type of initiative, for sure.
Yeah, and like you said, you guys are kind of what you know of as the first, and so you're kind of pioneering this build. And I know you guys haven't broke ground yet, but even once you break ground, there's always going to be learning. There's going to be things that happen that hopefully aren't terrible or catastrophic, but things can go wrong. And I know that whatever you guys learn will be helpful for anybody doing aquaponics, because everything's trial and error, and every system's different. Every person grows different crops and grows different fish and has different water supply and stuff like that. So I know it's not going to be the easiest thing to replicate, but you definitely will have some useful tools to pass on as you go through this experience. But I really want to thank you, Stan, for joining me today, and all the way from Moosonee, and most importantly, thank you for sharing the hard work your community is doing in creating this aquaponics facility and the positive effect it's not only going to have on your community, but also in future communities and rural towns throughout Ontario and hopefully Canada, as you share your journey and what you guys experience. So thank you again.
Thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Hey guys, I hope you liked the video today. If you did, please swim on over and hit the like button and subscribe. Comment below if you have any questions you want answered in any of our future videos. Hope to see you next time.